Am I the only one that sometimes feels just a little bit uncomfortable when taking these sort of, I forgot what they're called now, these sort of pictures? There's a word for it, but never mind. I'll think of it as we're going through. Couldn't help but take this one though. I just loved the way the group of people were sat here having a chat, sort of typical British summer. Well, apart from the fact it wasn't actually raining, we got a row of beach huts, and I thought, terrific. But there was also something, and I don't know what it was, in the poses, whatever, but there was something just a little bit, to my mind, warped mind probably, it was that British sort of summer scene. So let's see what we can do, because as a picture as it stands, it doesn't actually do anything, let's be quite honest. Right, Command J, Control J will duplicate the background layer once. Command J, Control J will duplicate it again. So we now have 2 copies of our background layer. To the top layer here, we're going to go to Filter, we're going to drop down to Blur, we're going to come down to Smart Blur. Now when Smart Blur opens, by default it comes through on the mode as normal. We're going to change this to edge only, and you can see we get this sort of sketch look. We're going to change the quality from low to high, and you'll notice the way it changes slightly there. The radius looks pretty good as it is on the default, and I'm going to take the threshold up just a little bit more. You'll notice as we move the threshold, you either get a lot of lines, move the threshold up and you get just a few lines, and it's just that balance that I'm after. I'm looking to just bring out sort of little bits of detail around there, but not too much, and just getting a balance with this, and something like that there looks pretty good. Taking a look around, that looks brilliant. I'm going to click OK to that. Now you may notice when it comes through, it's going to look a little bit on the negative side. By that I mean black with white lines. Now we can simply change this. We want to get it around the other way. Now we need to invert it, which is Command I. That is Control and I. So try that. Command I, Control I. There it is. We now have our sketched effect. Let's switch this off. Let's click on layer 1. Make sure we're working on layer 1. For the next stage, we're going to go to Filter. We're going to drop down to Pixel Bender. We're going to go to Pixel Bender Gallery. Now when Pixel Bender Gallery opens, it comes through with some magnificent looking things, but we're going to come and we're going to change it to oil painting. Now when oil painting decides to open, it's going to come through and it's going to show us something like that, which looks pretty good. Stylization. One thing I've noticed when using sort of any of the sliders, don't grab it, don't try moving it, just bring your cursor out onto the line, something like that, click down, bring your cursor away, and just let it do its stuff, because otherwise if you click down, try and move it, it seems to work away, then it does all sorts of things. Taking the cleanness up here, and that looks pretty good like that. Let's take the cleanness up a little bit more. Just going to see the way this is working. That looks pretty good like that. The brush scale, let's take the brush scale up. I've just skipped over colorization there, but we'll come back to that in just a second. Yep, I like the way the brush scale is working there, just getting that sort of motley effect there. Brush contrast looks pretty good on 1. Let's drop it down sort of almost midway there. See how that's going to work. Yeah, I quite like that. It's a nice clean look. But I think this is what I mean about the brush starts going off and doing its own thing. I must have touched down twice. So just move your cursor away. See how this is going to look now. Yep, I think I like that where it was before, so just waiting for it to settle down. Come on, you can do it. Right, I know what the time is. Coming through to this and just clicking down, let this work away. Brilliant stuff. Right, brush scale up a wee bit more. I just want just a little bit more of this pattern showing through here. Like it. Colorization. And it is, just click on the sliders, see what they do, and you'll reach a stage where you think, that's what I'm looking for, which isn't that. No, it definitely isn't that. So let's go back to where we were. That's what I mean. You click on the slider, I can't explain it. You click on the slider, like the look at that, looks really good. Wasn't what I was after, but that's what happens. Click on a slider, all of a sudden you get a look and you think, yes, that looks brilliant. Should we do this one? or do you walk away from it? I quite like it, so I'm going to click OK. Wasn't the initial look I was after, but as soon as I've seen this, I thought, yep, that'll do nicely. Through it comes. Right, clicking now onto our sketch layer, just making sure this is the live layer, changing the blend mode from normal to soft lights, and you can see the way that's working. You might also like to try overlay. That gives a slightly different look again, and don't forget you can always drop the opacity down to blend it in. Looks pretty good like that. Let's come in, let's go to soft lights. That's the one I was initially after. Liking the look of this. Let's zoom in, let's fit it on screen using Command or Control 0. I would if I could get rid of that, thank you. That looks pretty good. Let's come down onto this layer here, our layer 1, which is our effects layer as such. We're going to go to Image, Adjustment. We're going to drop down to Shadow and Highlights. Shadow and Highlights opens. Let's see if I can move this to the side. I've got Preview switched on, and as we come in, we can now grab hold of these sliders, and we're just going to move them back and forth like this. There aren't no magic numbers whatsoever. Just grab hold of the sliders and see what they do. Highlights. Taking the highlights right down. As we take the highlights down like this, you'll notice the way we can now begin to get the colour into the picture, and it is just using shadow and highlights to be able to paint in the colours that we've got. Talking to colour correction, taking this up. Like the way that's working. Mid-tone contrast. Again, it's the mid-tone contrast I quite like, rather than going for a contrasty image, a little bit of a high key sort of look there. That looks pretty good. And just dropping that in like this. Yeah, like that. Just have a look. There's the before, there's the after. Clicking OK to that. Job done. Through it comes. It's got that nice sort of painterly look to it. There are some other things we can do to this. For example, if we go to filter, we can go to where am I going to go to? I'm going to go to texture. That's what I'm going to go to. I'm going to go to texturizer, and with texturizer, my favorite one, sandstone. There it is there. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to click on it at 100% and brilliant. Through it comes there. Zooming in. Let's go to 100% of the picture like this. Now I haven't touched anything else. You can see the outlines there, by the way. Now I'm going to go simply to Edit. I'm going to go to Fade Texturizer. Now with Fade Texturizer open, just drop this down, looking at 100% of the image. If I take it down, you can see we take the texture right out. I just want to dial it back in until we begin to see there just that little bit of texture coming through in the sky there, a little bit of texture through in the planar areas. You can see I'm actually getting serious now and concentrating on what I'm doing. Coming through there, that looks pretty good. What have we got? We have got 39%. Click OK to that. Command 0, Control 0 to go to fit on screen. There it is. There's the finished image. It's just a great way of turning a snapshot of a candid thought of the word. Glad about that, otherwise I'd kept awake all night struggling to think of the word. A candid style shot, which, you know, as I say, I've never been particularly sort of keen on, but there's some scenes that you can't help but think, yeah. And you can just turn it into something a little bit different. Experiment. Just grab hold of the sliders. You begin to find out what they actually do. Don't be afraid of them. Click on the buttons, move them across, give it a try. Until the next time, happy imaging and take care.